If you want to know more about United States Army medals, badges, and insignia from the Revolution to today, we've been publishing these books for over 30 years. And this is our latest edition. It's available for you on Amazon, but it could be in your house in 2 or 3 days. Hello and welcome to Veterans Medals Workshop. I'm your host, Frank Foster, and today we're going to talk about the World War II Belgium and French Fourragères and the Netherlands Orange Lanyard, as well as the Infantry Blue Cord and the Aiguillette is worn by aides to the Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, and Coast Guard. So I think you'll find this interesting, and there's some things on here you'll never see anywhere else. So come on, let's go. So here we'll take a look at a World War II veteran's uniform, and on his left sleeve, or his left shoulder rather, he's wearing the French Fourragère and the Dutch or Netherlands Orange Lanyard, which can sometimes be in 2 strands, as shown here, usually in 1 strand and fixed underneath the sleeve, just like I've shown you here. And on the right is the Belgian Fourragère. In this case, he's wearing it on the right. Now, today the Army says you can only wear one of these devices or one of these decorations, and it would have to go on the left sleeve. But in World War II, if you came home from a famous unit and you had all 3, you put them where you wanted to, basically. This World War II veteran of the 82nd Airborne Division is wearing both the Belgian Fourragère and the Dutch Orange Lanyard single strand, as shown here. The Belgian Fourragère, shown on your left, was awarded to units who distinguished themselves in combat and had to be mentioned or cited in the Belgian Army's Order of the Day, and the citation had to specifically mention the unit by name, such as the 1st Infantry Division, the big red one, well, for its action during the Battle of the Bulge in December 1944, or the 3rd Infantry Division, the Rock of the Marne. The 3rd Infantry Division earned the Belgian Fourragère for its participation in the Ardennes, Alsace, and Rhineland campaigns. You know it as the Battle of the Bulge. The 82nd Airborne and 101st Airborne also received the award for their action during Market Garden and a number of other divisions during the Battle of the Bulge. The award is a twisted rope in the colors of the Belgian Fourragère, a cross of war, and ends in a metal point, which really has a name. It's called an aiguillette. The Belgian Fourragère is a unit award and would normally be worn on the left shoulder. It's a unit award that represents the collective valor and sacrifice of the entire unit during the war. It is not an individual decoration. The French Fourragère, shown on your right-hand side, along with the orange lanyard, is a collective unit award. It's a braided cord worn on the shoulder of the military uniform, and it was given to entire units rather than individuals as a symbol of collective recognition, such as the 2nd Infantry Division for its role in the liberation of Brest, France, or the 4th Infantry Division for its participation in Normandy. The colors are those of the French Fourragère, which is an individual honor, while the Fourragère is a unit honor. But the Fourragère uses the colors of the French Fourragère. The French Fourragère may be worn when authorized for either permanent or temporary wear, and I will show you some examples of temporary wear, like members of the 82nd Airborne Division wearing the French Fourragère on their uniform today. The Dutch Orange Lanyard, or the Netherlands Orange Lanyard, as shown on your right, was awarded to American units that fought in World War II for the liberation of Holland. 2 of the most famous units to receive the Orange Lanyard were the 82nd Airborne and the 101st Airborne Division for their service and valor during the Battle of Market Garden. It is a one-time award and could only be worn by the individuals whose unit received it. In other words, they had to be in the unit at the time that it was awarded. Just to summarize, the French Fourragère military medal is a military decoration awarded to individuals for acts of valor or bravery in combat. The French Fourragère, on the other hand, is a collective unit award. It's a braided cord worn on the shoulder of a military uniform, and it's given to entire units rather than individuals as a symbol of collective recognition for the unit's exceptional performance or valor. The next question, of course, is how do you mount it in a display case? And generally the best way to do it, and sorry for the fuzzy picture, is down at the bottom. Today, soldiers can wear the Fourragere on their uniform while assigned to units that have been permanently awarded the Fourragere, such as shown here. Time out for just a second. If you enjoy these specialized shows like on the Fourragères, please give us a thumbs up and most of all subscribe. It'll keep us going. And give us your comments down below. The infantryman's shoulder cord is a U.S. Army decoration that's worn over the right shoulder of all infantry qualified U.S. Army soldiers, both active, reserve, and National Guard. It's a Fourragere in a light blue, and it's worn under the right shoulder and under the right epaulet of the Army infantry soldiers Class A dress blue uniform, or in this case I'm showing the Vietnam era green, and the cord is composed of a series of alternating left and right knots that are held around the leader cord to form a Solomon bar. In this case, the soldier is also wearing the French Fourragere because the unit he is assigned to has been permanently awarded that device from World War II. That brings us to the aiguillette, which is a braided cord worn as a decoration on the uniform of various branches of the military, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, and even the Space Force and Coast Guard. It has a rich history going back to the Napoleonic period when it was first used as a military decoration. The aiguillette is primarily worn by members of honor guards and aides-de-camp as a symbol of authority, and it distinguishes certain positions or rank, and I'll show you those examples. An aide-de-camp to a general officer typically wears a gold aiguillette as shown here. So this is a formal aiguillette that would be worn on the left side of an aide-de-camp. And I'll show you an example now of where you would wear it on the right side if you were an aide-de-camp to the president or vice president. This is an example of the aiguillette on a Class A uniform worn by a presidential aide, and you can also see the presidential aide insignia on his lapels. The pencil-like points at the bottom of the braid are called aglets, and I'll show you some really interesting examples of those in just a minute. Each service has its own aiguillette. As you can see, the difference between the naval officer's aiguillette on the left and the Army officer's aiguillette on the right. Both of these are presidential aides since the aiguillette is on their right shoulder. Here's a little closer look at the Navy's aiguillette, and especially what we call the aglets, or the pencil points at the very end. You'll notice that they're embossed with anchors. Here's an example of a Marine officer wearing a presidential aiguillette, and on the right, a naval officer wearing an aide-de-camp aiguillette. Here's a little better look at a Marine Corps officer's aiguillette, and the pencil points are the aglets at the very bottom of the cord, and you can see that they're embossed with the eagle, globe, and anchor of the Marine Corps. U.S. Air Force or U.S. Space Force aide-de-camp to the President of the United States would wear a silver, or sometimes referred to aluminum aiguillette, is shown here. Here's a little closer look at the United States Air Force and Space Force aiguillette that would be used for formal wear. The pencil-like object found on the tip of military aiguillettes is often called an aglet, and it serves a practical purpose rather than having any specific symbolic meaning. The aglet helps to keep secure the braided cord and prevents it from fraying or unraveling, and it acts as a protective cover for the cord's end. Almost all of the services have a unique aglet with their own device or emblem on it, and over on the far right, the one that you see wrapped indicates that most of them were made in France. When not wearing a dress aiguillette, the aides would wear a service aiguillette, which is an aiguillette of round gold and scarlet for the Marines, or round gold and blue for the Navy, and just gold for the Army and silver for the Air Force and Space Force. Navy 2-cord service aiguillette would indicate aid to a 1- or 2-star admiral, while a 4-cord service aiguillette would indicate as an aid to the CNO or to the president if worn on the right side. And here's an example of a 3-cord or an aid to a lieutenant general aiguillette for a Marine aide-de-camp. So a Marine aide-de-camp to a brigadier or general officer would wear a 2-cord service aiguillette, while an aide to a lieutenant general would wear a 3-cord service aiguillette, and an aide to the commandant would wear a 4-cord service aiguillette, just in case you really wanted to know. Thanks for watching today on Veterans Medals Workshop. I covered a lot more material than I thought I would, and perhaps I went into too much detail, so let me know if I did. And if not, at least you know what an agate is or an aiguillette. Okay, see you next time on Veterans Medals Workshop.